again, so he became the chairman.
With no previous warning at all.
I know it.
It's
I
like,
thought you did
here,
great.
do it.
That's the best thing.
Oh, I've run a few meetings, that's for
I
sure.
would think so.
Between churches and HOAs, it's a thankless job.
Should my ringers off?
Think,
What part of Clearwater?
ready?
do you live in?
Woodgate, right near Woodgate Park?
Okay.
good evening. I'd like to call to order the 28th of January meeting of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. My name is Patrick Raftery. I'm chairman of the board. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the other members of the advisory board who are all volunteers. To my immediate far left, if you will, Stephanie Sisti has joined us. Next to me is Marty Armstrong. Next to me on the right is Kelly Kelly, and further down to the right is Candace Gardner. Appreciate everybody being here tonight and for your volunteering for these positions. I would like to advise that if there are items that are not on the agenda that any member from the public would like to speak upon, you may approach to the podium and speak to us about that item. We also have agenda items that hopefully you have a copy of so you can follow along for the items that are on the agenda, or realize an item is not on the agenda and you may approach at the proper time to speak about that one. We do ask for you to limit your comments to 3 minutes, and we may ask questions of you as a result of the comments that you're making. With that, I would like to move on to item 2.1, which is approval of the minutes. The minutes of the October 22nd meeting have been published. If there are no corrections from the board for those, I would like to entertain a motion to adopt those minutes as they have been published.
So moved.
And a second, please?
I second.
Second.
You have to second.
Seconded as well. The minutes of October 22nd are therefore adopted and will be submitted to the city. Item number 3 on the agenda is citizens to be heard on items that are not on the agenda. As I just mentioned, if you have anything you'd like to talk about that is not on the agenda, please come up to the podium, introduce yourself, and confine your remarks to 3 minutes if you will. Evidently, there's nobody here that would like to speak on an item not on the agenda, so we will move on to the next item of business. New business items. Item 4.1 is to be a discussion of the January project update report, which was issued to all of us and was last updated on January the 2nd.
First of all, I would like to apologize for the report you have, because it is an incorrect report. If you look at the date on top of that report, it says project update for 1/2/24. Unfortunately, we're in 25. And I do apologize. I was sharing with our Ellen out here about what happened. Our LNAO, who basically takes care of this board for so many years, been with the Parks and Recreation Department. She retired since the last meeting, and also Parks and Recreation has moved out of MSB. They basically are closing it down for renovations. And so we have now moved to 1255 Cleveland Street, which is near Nature's Food Banks. There's a 5-story building there.
Right.
They call it the CMA building, but we're using 1255. And that's where we moved. So in the process, I lost Ellen to help us with the board. We moved in the middle of all of that.
Right.
And so today, very quickly, I asked one of the other workers to give me the reports, put it together. So that's why you don't have a correct report. But I will do my best to kind of use this to go through and give you the correct information as best I can.
Art, you could have said this was a test of the board to see how carefully we're reading this report, and we all failed evidently.
No, every one of y'all, somebody would have picked up on it. I'd have been in really big trouble. Because when I started looking at them, thinking, oh my goodness, we've already done that. We're working on that. But the first one has to do with the Baycare Ballpark and the Carpenter Complex. Basically, we are in negotiations with the Phillies right now. Our at a standstill. We're obviously beginning spring training very shortly, and actually in February. And spring training, so the Phillies are here. We are trying to get everything ready for that spring training. There was damage due to the storm, as you all know,
Right.
but we've made pretty much all the repairs will be done for opening day. So
Excellent.
we look forward to another season with the Phillies to be here. The overpass, this overpass is the pedestrian bridge that goes over State Road 60. And it connects the Reem Wilson Trail or the Bay Shore Trail with the Courtney Campbell Trail. You all have seen that. Basically, they have begun construction. You'll see, they'll do some soil borings and things like that. So they have begun construction on that bridge. Matter of fact, I met yesterday, they wanted us to remove a plaque. I don't know if you ever noticed it, but there's a plaque that was installed in 1947 there, memorializing the causeway,
Oh.
Courtney Campbell Causeway. We found out, they thought the city owned that, but after the meeting, we found out that actually FDOT owned it, so they needed to move that. So that is a 14-month project, so hopefully the bridge will be done. It'd be a very nice addition. The city contributed $1 million to the bridge, basically for some aesthetic improvements to it, not just the standard, chain link going over it. So it should be very nice. It'll be something that we can all be proud of. As far as the grant coordinator, I don't know if I shared this last month, but we did receive a $200,000 grant for the Water Drive Park, and so that is good news. Let's see, the other ones would be McKay Park conceptual design, it says down here. Actually, McKay Park is nearing completion, and we hope to open it on February the 12th at 8 a.m.
Excellent.
We're not having a grand opening. This is a renovation of a park that has certainly been there for many years. We normally don't do them when we do renovations, but we are going to have something at Neighborhoods Day to commemorate that, and perhaps some other things. But that is complete. It has 6 pickleball courts, brand new playground. It has a 1 bocce ball court.
Okay.
And then, of course, the grass area that we have out there for the kids to play in as well. It's going to be well utilized. The pickleball people can't wait.
Oh, yeah.
Emails, I'm sure you get.
I've heard a lot of that. Yep.
All the time about that. The other thing about that at McKay Park is that we did get a contribution from Frenchie's Foundation. They contributed $150,000 toward the construction of the pickleball courts. And actually, he jumped on board probably 3 or 4 years ago saying he wanted to help with that. So you'll probably see a recognition sign if you go out to the park, that you will see what they completed. The other things on here, if we look at the sailing center, hurricane repairs, of course, we've had 3 hurricanes. Yes. And so we were repairing it then, we continued to repair it, and then finally we had the last hurricane, and both of the docks are gone. And we've since removed them. Matter of fact, yesterday I found out the last concrete piling had been cut off at the surface of the bottom of the surface of the water. So it's now navigationable, it's safe to go in that area. Our proposal is not to put those docks back. More than likely, we would not be able to do that anyway. But in lieu of that, what we are looking at is floatable docks that you basically roll them out, they go out, put them in. When you have a storm coming, pull them in,
back.
put them on the rollers, take them to a safe place. Matter of fact, we're thinking of that with some of the other things. We lost 2 restrooms, as you know, the 5-pack on the Clearwater Beach, and then the restroom that's right out there at State Santee. We're also looking at doing what we call portable restrooms there as well. But basically, we'll have it sewer, so we'll actually be connected in the sewer. But if a storm comes, we just kind of disconnect it, put it in the trailer, truck.
All the way.
So, and of course FEMA, they love that, and they think it's a great thing to do, they'll support that, and certainly, hopefully we'll get rid of those for that. So with that, those are the items that I can recall that we're working on. We did State Street Park, we do have a contractor for that. We hope to begin construction. We got the final permit, so they will begin construction within the next week or two.
Right.
So that's good news.
I did have a question on the item about the Moccasin Lake Bridge repair. It's something that I've had an interest in with the Friends of Moccasin Lake, and I noted that it was to go to the council in January. Did that in fact happen in January? It went to before council for approval of the construction costs? Is that what that was?
No, I think yes, you're correct. There was a bridge that needed to be repaired. They did go to the council, it was approved, and the bridge has been repaired, and the park has been reopened. And so there has been basically, as you know, there's a stream that cuts through that park.
Right.
From the lake that's on the northern side all the way to Moccasin Lake. Unfortunately, the long history of that park was that water sheet flowed across the park originally. It was I'm talking about 30 years ago.
Right.
And it basically was like a swamp. And that's why we put the boardwalks where we did, so you could get across and see the park. Several years ago, though, they channelized the water that was coming down. And if you've been there, you notice there's a nice lake that's there. There's, of course, a green lake with all
Yep.
the scum on top of it, but then
Right.
there's a nice lake. And then there's it's like a dam, and then an outfall, and then the water comes down. But the water through the years have just simply created, the stream that is deep, it is gone, and it's washed, silted over the pond. If you have not been to the lake, you just won't recognize it. Literally, the lake itself is about 4 feet deep. And it was a borrow pit at one time.
Right.
So we are looking at that from a stormwater perspective to see what we can do. We're working with our Public Works Department, and they're going to help us with that.
Right.
They are going to clear out the ditch. I call it a ditch, but it's like a stream bed that goes through there. We lost a lot of trees in there, so that's what we're doing.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any other questions from the board on items?
Is Cooper's Point still a go?
Thanks.
Cooper's Point, are they still gonna be doing a boardwalk?
At Cooper's Point, no.
Over across from the causeway?
Well, that's a project, yes, that we have put in to do in the future. But right now, it's not in the budget, no.
Put a hold on it, okay.
The grant for Edgewater Drive Park, what's happening at Edgewater?
Edgewater Drive, the grant is to basically to extend the parking lot. Right now, if you've ever been there, there's like 5, 6 spaces at the most. They're always full. People are parking everywhere they can to get in there. It's a sign capital of the world. But basically what we're doing is extending the parking lot to add, I think, about 6 to 8 spaces there. They'll be run the same way, parallel to where the others are, to install a dock, an observation dock that'll go straight off from where their parking lot is, and hopefully to widen the sidewalks in that area.
Okay.
That is what that project's for.
Any other questions on the project list from anyone? Very good. We'll then move on to item 4.2, and I think this is an item that both Kelly and I submitted a request for it to be on the agenda, and I thought this would be a great opportunity for the director to tell us the current status of the land that was purchased near Lake Chautauqua that has expanded that park, because it was a great idea and initiative on the part of the Parks and Recreation Department.
Yeah. We have, there is an open space recreation impact fee that has been in existence since 1983. And we've collected money from basically developers, whether commercial or residential. And that ordinance got changed about 2 years ago. So we have funds that must be spent according to the old ordinance. The funds we have were about $4 million, and it had to be spent on land only. And so what we are doing now is as we always had done, we looked for land that was generally adjacent to another park, because it doesn't make sense to have another, when we got 109 parks out there, to add another one that we have to go maintain in a different area. So we try to add them. This is a little different in that it's a beautiful piece of property on the western side of Lake Chautauqua. The city owns, as you know, Lake Chautauqua Park, Original Park, which is on the eastern side of the lake, next to the Boy Scout property. That is a 20-acre park, which also is connected to the Equestrian Trail Park, which is another, I think, 15 acres. So there's 35 to 40 acres on the eastern side where the city has a park. Beautiful natural park with sidewalks through there. It's a mile long to be able to get in and go and do the whole loop. So it's great for exercising. People love it. And then there's also, believe it or not, a park, Sewell Road Park, that's on the south side. And the city also owns a property that's the south side of that lake, owns all of that. And then to the north, doesn't touch the lake, but it is the dog park, the Enterprise Road Dog Park. So we kind of encircle that. By doing this, we encircle that lake. The property is beautiful. It would be ideal for a canoe launch, a kayak launch, so that the public can get in there. And there's actually clear water. I mean, like no weeds, no plants. I mean, you can actually get to see the water. So it is really, it was and basically the people, we were able to buy it at the appraised value.
Very good. Very good use of the funds. With that purchase of the $4 million, how much funds?
It was about 1.2 million, I think it was, yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And Art, is that adjacent to the dog park?
It's not adjacent. It's close, very
Okay.
close. It's probably 3 lots away from the dog park.
Okay.
Those are
And
big lots out there.
There's access?
We don't have access on the back side of the dog park. We only have one entrance in on Enterprise just to control it, and to control, because otherwise we have to go out there every night and lock it up because it's a park that, is chained in. But that's something we can consider if the board finds that there's a desire for that, because it flows into a residential neighborhood on that south side. So we like to protect the residents as much as we can. But it's certainly something, it's an easy walk to the dog park from this park.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board on that? Not, we'll move on to item 4.3. This, again, I think is an item that both Kelly and I asked to have a brief discussion on, and that is an update on the Long Center natatorium. I actually had to call Nathan and ask what was that so he could explain to me. He said it was a very posh word for what's out there, and he said, I'm going to use it. And I said, thank you very much for that. The reason I put this one down is there was a discussion at one of the council work sessions relative to the amount of monies that were being requested to do both the design work as well as start the construction of the upgrade of the Long Center. And I thought it would be good for the board members as well as the public to kind of hear where that is at this present time, and perhaps some input that we did receive from the council members as to how to go about funding this, which is really a significant Clearwater landmark, if you will.
Yes, it is. And fortunately, the city council did approve the contract to make the necessary repairs. It's a $14 million project. And I'll get you the exact numbers on this, so we'll put them in the minutes, because my mind sometimes, I round things up, but it's $14 million. The one thing that they did do is that they took out it was an alternate. It's called a sun deck.
Yep.
It was, if you've ever been to the Long Center, there's that flat, it's kind of rectangle and it's just flat, and there's a a raised concrete area with basically some umbrellas over them. We were going to actually enclose a sun deck there that allowed people to be on the inside rather than having to be on the outside. But they decided together that take that out of the project, saved about $900,000. So they are wanted to be fiscal conservative in that regard.
Right.
Also, we are looking for donors. So if anybody has $900,000 in the bank or something, I mean, we could help. We could add that in. It's a little teeny short window, but we are trying. I've approached some of the other foundations and some other donors, and we may be able to put that back in. Right. If we don't, it is still a beautiful pool. It is just, that's why we did that as an alternate. The other alternate was also the solar panels, but we were able to get a 50% match on the solar panels, so they're going to continue to go with that. So that's kind of where we are with that project.
If I understand it correctly as well, that in those discussions, it has been quite a long period of time before we've actually done renovations or repairs there, I think I heard. Is that correct? In other words, this is long overdue to be done, and although $14 million might sound rather pricey, it's to restore it and return it to where it was once before, years ago when we acquired it.
Correct. There are the issues there too. There are a lot of humidity problems. We had tried about 15 years ago to solve that, but it basically doesn't work out. So this actually is the only public funded pool that I found, Olympic-sized pool in the state of Florida, and it'll be air conditioned. That's been one of the problems, that so much humidity, you can go up there literally and there's just a pool of water that's there constantly. Mm-hmm. And what happens is it rusts all the infrastructure, all the steel, all the metal, all of that through the years. And that has never been, we have painted some of it. We've cleaned it at least once since I know of, that since the city has taken over. Mm-hmm. We've also repaired the pool and the pool room at least twice that I know, and maybe the deck. We are looking at the pool. There is a leak in the pool right now. It's not uncommon to have, public pools to get leaks. Unfortunately, this is a big pool, and so we want to discover and find out, the extent of the leak, if there's any damage underneath the pool as well. So we're going to do that before we actually begin the construction of the shell, because you can build a nice, beautiful air-conditioned shell, but if the pool is not in good shape, then it doesn't work very good. Yeah.
Very good. Well, it certainly is an iconic landmark for not only the residents of Clearwater to enjoy, but in fact for swimmers to come there for meets and competition and so forth. So, in my opinion, at least, that is money well spent, bringing that up to speed. So, I appreciate that heads up on that. Is there any questions from the board relative to that item? We'll move on to item 4.4, discuss any action needed as a result of Director Cater's visit to Valencia Park. I received a notice about the invitation for Mr. Cater to make that visit. He did make that visit, and I thought it would be interesting for the board as well as the public to hear any outcome from that visit as to what may or may not have been done.
Mike Lockwood and myself did go out and meet with a resident. And we talked about programming issues, and we're working with them. They're going to get us additional information on some programming that they'd like to see done, as well as we discuss the issues of vehicles, that basically park vehicles are entering that park. And if you know of Valencia, it's a long park, linear type park. Right. And so the trucks were entering at a certain location. And we've since changed that to make it safer. They were entering in the middle, rutting things up, and which is not good for the park. So we've corrected that situation. The other issues had to do with, we did install 2 new sidewalks to their pools. There are 2 pools out in Valencia Park. The city has completed those sidewalks, which are a nice addition, but they would love a sidewalk to every cul-de-sac. The way that park is, it runs linear, and you're familiar with it. There's cul-de-sacs at each end. There's like oh, I don't know, I think 8 cul-de-sacs.
Right.
They would like to see a sidewalk at each cul-de-sac. But, and the other thing is, we looked at some drainage issues where, you know, it had eroded and they wanted some more trees there. We have yet to do that. That's something we can look at with our tree planting program that the Public Works Department's doing. So it was a very positive, very good meeting.
I think one of the good things about that is that when residents or a group of residents have a concern for one of the parks that they are using for recreation, and they do bring it to the attention of the director, it is great that the director not only makes the time to go visit, but can actually take action to respond to that. So therefore, the residents feel like they are listened to and actions are taken when appropriate. So do appreciate that, and always look forward to the initiatives that are exercised by Parks and Recreation addressing questions like that. So, well done.
Well, I appreciate that. I can't solve all the issues, like duck hunting in the city of Clearwater, which is one that basically it's a state issue. But I know some of our residents, you know, on Stevenson's Creek, the residents out at Cooper's Bayou, I'm sure you probably heard from some of the residents and their concerns. There's actually during duck season, this duck hunting is allowed. Actually, you know, it's also allowed in some of the lakes, some of our parks, county parks. They have an issue too with duck hunters during this season. They actually literally go into the lakes and hunt just like that, so.
Very good. Any questions or comments from the board on that item? We'll move on to item 4.5, which is the election of officers for 2025. And my first question is, with one of our seats not filled at the present time and one of our members absent, do we have sufficient people to propose candidates and vote upon them? We're good? Okay.
As long as you have a quorum.
Okay. I've been chairman myself, and I have no problem with continuing as chairman, but I would also like to entertain anybody's nomination for another person for that role as well, and I will leave that up to yourselves.
Yep. You should continue.
Yes.
Continue.
Continue.
You're doing a great job.
Majority.
I think it would require a formal nomination and a second of that nomination and then the voting, and I can't nominate myself.
You can't?
No.
Oh, what kind of job is
I
that?
can vote for myself, I think.
I nominate Patrick to be president.
And I second.
Is it president?
Chairman.
Chairman, I'm sorry.
I was thinking, here I come to
You've
Washington.
gotta-
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been
Good.
too immersed
Upgrade.
with
Very
that.
good. Okay, with the nomination having been made and seconded, we will now move to the voting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Looks like it's unanimous. The next office that we need to fill, I believe, is the vice president. It was previously filled by Jason Hood, who elected not to have himself reappointed. So I would like to submit Kelly Kelly for consideration as the vice
Excellent.
president,
Excellent.
and
Excellent.
see if she would like to make any comments, or if any of you would like to make comments about that proposed nomination.
I second that nomination.
Cool.
Very good.
Good, perfect.
Took me by surprise.
I wanted to surprise you.
Yeah, thank you.
The nomination having been made and seconded, we can now move to the voting. All in favor of Kelly Kelly to be the vice president of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for 2025, please vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That concludes the 4.5 election of officers, and we'd like to congratulate both of those that were nominated and selected. Looking forward to another exciting year.
Yes.
Moving on to item 5, old business items. Item 5.1, I had put that one on, and the only reason I did that is I just wanted to get an update on it, because that item was actually suggested, if I'm not mistaken, by one of the board members. And I don't know if it was Angie Lonesome or the lady that left the board before her, but in any case, it was a very good suggestion, and I just wanted to get an update from yourself as to
Yes.
where it stands.
Fortunately, that is completed, and it is well-used. People, the parents that go and pick up their children after school, they love it, and they use it, and it took us a while to get it in, but it is done. I will share with you that that park also is due for replacement of the playground equipment out there. So we will be replacing the equipment. That item will come before the council, I think, at their next meeting. And it'll be a new piece of equipment with the rubberized surfacing rather than the mulch. So that'll be a very nice improvement for that park as well.
What I thought was very interesting about that item is was actually proposed by a board member who was well aware of the issue with respect to the lack of sidewalk, and it was proposed and, in fact, has now been completed. And as you say, it is being well used by the children getting to the school and
Yes.
so forth. So another example, if you will, of situation where a resident, or in this case, a board member, points out an issue that can be taken care of, and it is in fact completed. So well done again on that.
I've got
Any questions on that
Yes.
one? Yeah.
to replace the playground, you say that's due. How long has that playground been in use to where now it's due?
That playground has been there for, I think, 15 years. I'd have to go back and get you the exact date. What we have 27 playgrounds in the city, and we inventory all those playgrounds, the date they were purchased, and then the condition. We actually go out and inspect the playgrounds every month, once a month, for safety, for nuts, bolts, screws, slats, everything on every one of our playgrounds once a month. We have certified playground inspectors that do that. And so we don't want anything to happen to our children, and we want our playgrounds safe. But there is a time when you have to replace it. And I think, I will get you the exact date, but I think that was about 15 years old or 16. Now, the other one we're replacing is Sewell Road Park. I don't know if that's it or not, but Sewell Road's been there for 22 years.
All right. I was concerned with Woodgate.
Which one?
Woodgate? How long
Woodgate.
that one's been there?
It's coming up. I
Yeah?
will tell you that. It's probably next on there. We actually have a capital project that's in an out year to actually do major renovations to that park, because
Who-
it's been a long time since we've done that.
Who is that? What did you say?
I said Woodgate Park, we have major renovations to the park. I think it's in 3 years from now.
Okay.
But we're looking at you've got the shelter in there, the parking lot's terrible, we need new parking there. The play field area has not really been improved there, so we're looking at that. But prior to that, we may put in a different playground or a different location at that park. I will get back with you, though, and let you know when
Okay.
it's due.
All
Okay?
right. Thank you.
The playground inspection by certified inspectors is a very interesting note, because we certainly, as you have said, we want to keep the children safe that use that playground, and we certainly do not want to put mothers in the position of having to report to Parks and Recreation a safety issue, which I have never heard of one. So it sounds like a great job is being done by the certified inspectors, keeping an eye on those playground equipment and replacing them as necessary, primarily for the safety reasons.
Yes. Well, thank you. Yes.
Any other questions or comments on that item?
No.
Moving on to item 5.2, an update on the newly acquired Palm land adjacent to the Moccasin Lake Nature Park. I put that item on there because, again, that was a case where the Parks and Recreation Department spent some money acquiring some land right next to Moccasin Lake, and they've done some work on it that is to the benefit of the visitors to the park.
Yes, it is. We've not been able to we have cleaned it all up. We've taken out all of the debris that was there and cleaned the park up. It's safe. We haven't opened it yet to the park, to the main park. We were making a prairie basically out there, and we want to recognize the people that sold us the land. They wanted to keep it for the citizens of Clearwater, so I thought that was very good. But right now, we have not opened it yet for the public. But we hope to do that soon. We need a little bit of money to do it, and we will basically open it up by putting paths through there, and so people can enjoy that area as well as the rest of the park.
And that land was purchased again from that fund that's there for that type of thing?
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
That's right.
Very good. If there's no questions or comments on that particular item, we'll move on to item number 6, which is the director's report from our esteemed director, Mr. Art Cater.
Well, I've shared a lot of the things with you already through the report. Just an update on hurricane repairs. Obviously, we had several of our facilities that were damaged. The Clearwater Beach Recreation Center is still closed. It will be at probably 9 months before we'll be able to repair that. And it's actually the libraries out there too, you know, the beach library. The reason is we have to have design done by an architect and engineer. We have to go out to bid, and then we have to construct it. So that's why it's going to take at least 9 months to do that. The other areas, though, that we have that have still not been done is Pier 60. Pier 60, if you go there, you will see that it's been blocked off since the storm. We are trying to, and hopefully by spring break, which will be March 1, we hope to be able to open the pier up to the bait house. We'll then be able to remove the fencing that's underneath there that's so ugly. But we'll be able to remove that fencing. It's only there to protect people, because if you get underneath there and you have a railing fall or wood fall or concrete, you know, it's just a liability. So the plan is to have hopefully access to the pier and open again by March. We are working on the bait house, which is the, you know, little bait house that you go in. They have a lot of trinkets and all, and it's a wonderful place. Tourists love it. And we love it too because it makes money. So while it's closed, we're not making any revenue. So we're working on that. We have to connect all the electrical back, all the water, all the sewer that goes to that little building. So we're looking at probably, that's going to take another 3 months to get done. But at that time, then we'll open that back up. And then the last part is probably the most serious part, which is the area where the fisher people like to go. And basically, it's to the pier and the T at the end. So we have an engineer that's looking at the cost to do that. Looking at 2 options. One, to keep the pier the way it is with a T at the end, or just to end it at the end without the T. So we're going to get basically cost estimates on those 2 options. And then, you know, you can even weigh in on it once we get the estimates on it as well. If you want to, we'll bring that to you. Okay? The only other thing I told you about our move to 1255 Cleveland Street. I told you about McKay Park on February the 12th at 8 a.m. We do have some specific rules from 8 to 12 o'clock. We've set some rules there because pickleball people are very, you know, passionate about their sport and how they play it and do it and put the paddles in and everything else. So we have some rules that we think that will work. Basically, what we have is we've set aside, during those times only, a beginner court, 4 intermediate courts, and 1 kind of pro court or really good court. Excellent. Right. So that way, you know, if you get out and play the sport, you know, you want to be able to play it and enjoy it rather than going and not being able to. So, you know, we're going to be ready for that, and hopefully it'll work out as a public park, you know, so people can use it. Anytime. We set the hours from, I think it's 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. So anyways, let me see if there's anything else. Oh, I did want to share with you that we received an FDOT beautification grant. Actually, the letter came in last week for $460,000 for landscaping the Missouri Avenue medians. Missouri Avenue medians are from Court Street south all the way to Bel Air Road, if you've ever gone down that area. The beautification that's been in there has been in there for probably, I'd say, close to 20 years now. And when it was installed, you will see literally if somebody goes over the curb there, their car will be stuck because it's about a foot over the curb. It goes down if you see it.
But that's a win for us, and it's an FDOT beautification grant, which will be coming to the council hopefully within the next month or two for their approval. Let's see if I have anything else. We obviously are starting to work on our budgets for 25, 26. So if you have anything that you or your neighbors are looking for, or something you would like to see in the budget that has not been, there before, or somebody that you keep hearing, I keep hearing pickleball all the time, but there are certainly other things that we need to do, which is take care mainly of the infrastructure that we have. Rather than building new, we're looking at, taking care of the things that we have and making sure that they are in good shape, just like the aquatic center. Everything we bring to you, most is not new stuff. So anyways, you can share that with us. So that's my report.
Thank you.
Any questions from board members on the director's report?
I guess not on that.
I did have one question myself. Is it on the repairs that are, or you did have one, I'm sorry?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything on specifically what he just said, so
Okay.
I'll wait.
Yeah, okay. My question is that on these repairs that are done on Clearwater Beach, the rec center and the pier and so forth, is there reimbursement to the city by FEMA for this damage done to it by the hurricanes? Or is this pretty much unexpected city expense that's come to the forefront?
I have to be real careful answering that question because I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Certainly, we apply for reimbursement, but there is certainly no guarantee. There are a lot of requirements that you have to meet, and you have to do things a certain way.
Right.
For example, you have to bid. One of the reasons we're doing the rec center the way we are is we're hard bidding that because that's what they like to see, that you hard bid it and you go out and it's competitive, and then they go ahead and do the repairs. Rather than, for example, doing it with a CMAR, which is a construction manager at risk. Those are people that we have that you can literally go to, and they will
Right.
actually put together the plans and build it. Sometimes they don't necessarily fund those.
Right.
Sometimes they do. So we're just having to be very careful. So for me to say, yes, we certainly are applying for it for the pier, for every area. For instance, those restrooms I mentioned to you, we're applying for it to replace those restrooms. We think they have a really good chance. The dock that got torn down, we think has a good chance. The problem you have also is that there's a rule by FEMA. It's called the 50% rule. So what that means is that you cannot repair your property or your building anything if it's greater than 50% of the appraised, or not the appraised, the depreciated value of your property. So for example, or your building, if you had a building there for 40 years, it's pretty much depreciated to hardly nothing.
Right.
That's left. So that means you take 50% of nothing or very low, you can only do so much repair. I know that's one of the struggles I know that we're dealing with our, and I didn't mention that, but both the shuffleboard club and the lawn bowling buildings, both of those were flooded, and both of those have had extensive damage to them. And that's one of the things that we're dealing with in that regard. I know that Ellen is here. And, unfortunately, they've not been able to use their building because, of the flooding and those types of things. And we're trying to hopefully come to a resolution of that within the next, I'm hopeful, next 2 weeks. We'll talk after the meeting, but we hope to have the final report from our engineers regarding if it can be repaired, if it can be repaired under the 50% rule, or if the buildings are too old that they have to be removed or demolished or built new. So we'll have that report and certainly bring that back to you. And I've been in close contact again with Ellen, with the Lawn Bowl, and with Mark, with the Shuffleboard Club in regard to that, because that will affect their programs
Right.
drastically.
Any further questions from the board on that particular item?
Art, can I ask you a question? It seems like the way people are thinking is changing from just rebuild to rebuild so that it's not gonna be damaged again?
Yeah.
And, or don't rebuild it all and relocate? Is that thought process something that you guys are going through, or?
Well, that's exactly, yeah, that's one of the struggles too. We're still in a floodplain.
Right.
So what are we going to do? Even if we tore everything down, which again, that was a proposal that we put in a capital project to build, remember the intergenerational building? We're going to build one building, allow lawn bowl, shuffleboard, volleyball, pickleball. We're going to have a lot of things that were out there, have like even a little concession restroom there to make some money, restaurant, yeah, to make some money there, but that would cost a lot of, it's new money, so it would
Right.
cost an awful lot to do that, and it's not in the budget right now. So even, yeah, that's a struggle for us, because we would have to, those buildings get removed, you'd have to put it up 2 stories, which means then we have elevators, we have all kinds of issues. Even if I put a little restroom out there, you know, it has to be elevated, not unless I put everything on wheels that can be out there and we take it and we can move it off, you know. So anyways, sorry about that. I got a new phone and I don't know how to work it, so excuse me. Usually I shut them off. But no, you're absolutely right. That's because it's the FEMA rules, then, you know, they restrict you. And if you go back in and build it in the same area, put the money back into it, you're susceptible to a flood. That's why they have that rule. They don't want you to rebuild
Yeah.
right there with the same structures. They want you to rebuild with the new codes. Yeah.
Okay.
Stephanie, I think you had something you wanted to,
Yes,
Right.
after the storms, when the city provided that brush site for the public to bring
Yes.
at Woodgate, does the city owns all of that land, like the little ball field and that extra space going right up to Enterprise Road? The
Yes.
city owns all that empty space?
The city owns all that space.
Okay.
You know, we've looked at that for years, worked with the homeowners association as well. At one time, they were okay, I don't know that they would be now, but okay with us putting lights there and changing them into soccer, regular soccer fields or some fields, you know. that
Which
can play.
HOA was that? You said the HOA?
Yeah,
Is it-
the Woodgate.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Woodgate Homeowners Association. They're the ones, the homes, I don't know where you live, but they're the homes that live right by that park. And obviously, you know, parks are wonderful and beautiful, but some people don't like them right by their house. And especially if you're going to be putting, yeah, soccer balls and lights at night and yelling kids, some people don't like that. So anyways, we have to kind of coexist, and so that's why we work with the homeowners association. Whenever we do any project, we try to get them involved first. You know, we want their buy-in because they're the people that'll be most impacted by whatever park project we do.
Okay.
anything further, or?
No,
Very good.
thank you.
If there's nothing further on that particular item, we'll move on to item number 7, which is the board members to be heard on a topic that they would like to discuss. And I would like to start with Stephanie on the far left.
Oh, I already asked what I had, so, thank you.
Marty?
No, I just want to thank Art for all the hard work that he and his crews have been doing for these hurricanes, because I know it was a long and arduous process, and if you would, I know you've been thanking them because they put in a lot of hours, but
Yeah.
it's amazing what you guys did, you know, as
Yeah.
far as cleaning up the messes and taking care of the 109 parks or whatever it was. So thank you for your hard work. Appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate that, and that is all because of the people that work in Parks and Recreation. I mean, we have some just wonderful people that support me. I mean, you know, it's just a joy to still come to work with, you know, a staff that we have like that. And they just pitched in on anything that needs to be done. We're kind of the can-do department. Everybody calls us. We're finally having to say, no, we can't do that. You know, can you do this or can you do that? Because we want to, you know, stay true to the citizens and the patrons of Clearwater and what we do best, which is Parks and Recreation, and serve them. And, you know, I have a servant's heart. That's what I do. And most of the people that we hire, they have servant's hearts as well. And so we understand that, and that's what we want to do. So thank you for that comment. Sure. Well received.
Candace, would you like to?
Well, I've known Art a long time because I was on the Park and Recreation before, and he has been an outstanding person. And when I came on, I said, oh my God, he's still working. He's doing it. My God, congratulations, you're doing such a great job as always. You really are. You're wonderful. You are.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm still working, yeah. I have the notorious title of, I think I am the longest term employee right now with the city. And I've lost count of how many years.
We're lucky to have you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Yeah.
I want to echo that you're so prompt in responding to emails.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. I appreciate everything you do.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's good.
I will just third that the performance that Parks and Recreation is much due to your leadership and the quality of the people that you have. It's just been outstanding, and the responsiveness to the citizens, visiting parks, visiting residents that have issues, and addressing those issues has been second to none and has always been well done. So congratulations to yourself and the department. I would also like to take the time at this present time to note that Mr. Jason Hood has left the advisory board, and he served his time with us, and I appreciate his volunteering and his work on our behalf, and he chose not to be reappointed, which is certainly a decision that he can make. I would also like to note that the young lady that took all of our minutes and organized our meeting, Ellen, has retired, you indicated, so we'd like to wish her the best in retirement. And I'd like to end with not only myself and the members that have been on the board, but our new members, Stephanie and Candace, to encourage people, residents, to reach out to yourself with issues that are affecting parks so that you might bring them to our attention. I encourage everyone to visit those parks and recreation facilities in your immediate neighborhood to give us an idea as to what could be done there or what issues might be coming up from residents, because I've always found Art to be a great listener to things. They cannot be aware of everything, and we need to bring to their attention things that residents bring to our attention, and the best way to do that is to go out and visit a park
Definitely.
yourself.
Yes, yes, I agree with that, definitely, yeah.
Okay. So with that, if there's nothing further, this meeting is adjourned.